Good evening. Thank you for coming. Welcome to the 18th induction ceremony for the St. John's High School Athletic Hall of Fame. Tonight we'll be inducting the Hall of Fame class of 2021. In a ceremony delayed a year due to a little thing called COVID. I'm sure you may have heard of it. It's wonderful that we're holding this event on campus, where so many of the great feats were accomplished by this year's inductees, and so many memories were made right here in this gym. It's special to be in the Coaches Pavilion because it's named for legendary coaches. Bob Devlin, Coach Joe Lane, Coach Charlie Bebo. And to be under the banners earned by our Super Bowl or state championship teams, many of those were won by our honorees tonight. In the long history of St. John's athletics, there have been many outstanding athletic teams, many outstanding athletes, and many dedicated coaches who have demonstrated the character and pursuit of excellence associated with St. John's High School. Tonight, we will honor 10 men with induction into the prestigious Athletic Hall of Fame and pay tribute to another for his long and wonderful service to St. John's. St. John's High School is honored to present them to you tonight. This evening is more about athletics, is about more than athletics. It's about excellence in all facets of education. It's about more than our new Hall of Fame members. It's about family, it's about teammates, and it's about friends. So it's about all of you as well. Above all, it's about the St. John's tradition and the experiences that we share. In that, it's like a reunion across the generations. So relax and enjoy the evening. I would like to introduce the head table and inductees into the St. John's Athletic Hall of Fame class of 2021. From the class of 1965, Paul Skopetsky. Representing his brother, Bruce Kafka, from the class of 1971, is Chip Kafka. From the class of 1974, Timothy Foley. From the class of 1978, John Andrioli. From the class of 1986, Chris Saulnier. From the class of 1987, Shane Hassett. From the class of 1990, Michael Foley. From the class of 2003, Matthew Boat. Representing Richard Rogers from the class of 2011 is Coach Robert Foley. Hockey coach Brian Murphy. At this time, I'm going to call forward Senior Andrew Brown to lead us in prayer.
Hello, my name is Andrew Brown, and I'm the captain of St. John's hockey team. It's an honor to be here tonight with you. Tonight I'm going to be reading a blessing. This blessing is the one we say every day at school at lunch. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. For food and drink, for body and spirit, for us, for others, you, Lord, we give thanks, amen.
Enjoy your dinner. We will begin the induction ceremony soon. This is always a great night because it highlights some of the history of our school and it recognizes individuals who have achieved success in striving to attain that excellence that is a hallmark of St. John's High School. We have members of our St. John's Pioneer football team with us tonight. We're certainly proud of you as you wear the red and white and represent our school with class. Please stand and be recognized. There are a number of members of our Hall of Fame with us tonight. I would ask them to stand for a brief moment to be recognized. Members of our Hall of Fame committee that are present, please stand and be recognized. When we consider the achievements of St. John's athletics over the years, we understand the difficult task that faces the selection committee and how justly proud these 10 inductees and their families and friends can be of their selection to the St. John's Athletic Hall of Fame. In order to give all of our recipients the respect they deserve, I ask that you stay to the conclusion of the program. I will work to keep the program moving along. At this time, we'll begin the induction process. Paul Skopetsky, class of 1965. What a perfect person to kick off our event with. Paul was a Temple Streeter. He attended St. John's in Worcester as a freshman. Paul was a truly amazing and versatile athlete. He played 8 positions on the Pioneer football team for Coach Bob Devlin and ran 6 events for Brother Finton Curran on the track team. He was big, strong, fast, and loved to compete. He was a tireless worker in practice that set himself up for success on game days. Paul was selfless and was willing to do whatever it took for the Pioneers to win. He was recognized as the team MVP as a senior. Paul matriculated to Holy Cross on an athletic scholarship and made 30 consecutive starts at linebacker for the Crusaders. Paul was drafted by the Cleveland Browns and played professionally as well. Paul continued to compete on the gridiron, playing semi-pro football for many teams until the age of 66. Paul's entire career in high school, college, or beyond, Paul never missed a game. Paul also coached football to share his love of the sport, including a time as defensive coordinator and special teams coach for the Pioneers with Coach Wood. Keep competing, Paul. It's an honor to induct Paul Skopetsky into the St. John's High School Athletic Hall.
And I'm still alive to talk about it. Okay. You need a mic? Oh, yes. We want to appreciate everyone for showing up today. And like I say, it's been 60 years since I first set foot on my Pioneer field as a freshman. And one of the little anecdotes about that was when Bob Devlin held football practice tryouts my freshman year, I said I wasn't prepared. I had to show up in my dress pants and my buckskin shoes because I didn't have football cleats. Oh, you needed them? And one of the ironies of that, starting out in that was 1961, and way back when, I remember, I'm going to be 65 in October. I got to remember stuff from 60 years ago, so that could be tough. And I wound up, just like Michael Jordan in basketball, getting cut as a freshman for tryouts. But one of the great things about Coach Bob Devlin was that he appreciated effort, and he said if you deserved a second chance, he come see me, and there was 3 of us that said, yeah, okay, we think we can, have a second opportunity. And we went to Bob Devlin, and he appreciated that, and we made the team, and we're on the team. Now, one of the other unusual things when we mentioned about, Temple Street, for you young fellas, you don't know what football practice is like these days now. Temple Street, if you don't know, was a dungeon. And we had our locker room was in the boiler room. And as a freshman, I remember Gary Mullaney, the senior center, and I said, and Kevin Kopka was a senior back then, and Kevin was an adult playing high school football. I said, why is all your stuff there? Well, that's what we do, the boiler room. We dry our jock straps and all our stuff for tomorrow's practice. They never took stuff home, and that's how the practice was. So that was freshman year. The other thing was, you guys, again, the youngsters, you got to need. We didn't practice anywhere. We had to go and thumb or hitchhike or take the bus to the Oval, which, if you're not familiar with that, by Lake Quinsigamon, it was 5 miles away. So football equipment, we're out on Grafton Street, thumbing rides, or however we can get to practice as freshmen. Then sophomore year, we all wound up being at St. John's here, and we practiced at Dean Park. And one of my traits, I'd say, I was a runner. And Jerry Frew will appreciate that track and field that I did the 220. I anchored the 800 relay, and it was funny. Going back with Brother Fenton, our senior year was the first year that Pioneer Field was developed, so that's where we had track practice. And one of the first times going out, Brother said, okay, what do you want to do? I said, I'll do everything. Okay, we practiced the 100-yard dash, 200-yard dash, the 440, too long. Okay, what about the field goal? Well, here's the high jump. So, okay, let me try the high jump. I jumped on the high jump, fell on the bar, bent the bar. Okay, you can't have that. What's that over there? He says, well, that's the pole vault. Brother Finn comes up, don't even think about it. We have one, and Rich usually will appreciate this, we have one bamboo pole. That's it. We can't afford anything. Okay, so what do? Well, here's the shot put, here's the discus. Go down to the practice field and practice. With who? Yourself. There was no coaches, so that's what we did. So that was track and field. Now, one of the other things that we appreciate about, like you say, was Coach Devlin was, the structure of practice back then was something, meaning discipline, fundamentals. One of the things that got me, through my football career was, just learning everything that both Joe Lane and Bob Devlin had to, stress on practice. And one of the funny ironies was that we practiced from the start of practice to the end of practice. Wait a minute, is there any water? What's water, Bob Devlin would say. No, there's no water. No water breaks, okay. So when we moved from sophomore year to Dean Park, I said Dean Park was down here on Shrewsbury. I said, okay, I would run to Dean Park for practice and run back to Dean Park because we didn't have a bus till our junior year and senior year with Brother Barnabas. So one of the things we appreciate was the fact that, thanks to Bob Devlin's teachings and structure and fundamentals on that, the rest became football history. And along with Coach Andreoli, it says I wound up participating in 29 out of the 31 varsity alumni football games at Holy Cross College over the years. John participated in 10 of them. And he said because he was a player at sometimes hit, but we were not. And one of the things was I wound up playing in my minor league football career, for the Marlboro Shamrocks and 11 other football teams, and I had a total of 417 football games under my belt. And like you said, I never missed a football game with an injury my entire football career, thanks to the dedication and training that Coach Bob Devlin and Joe Lane instilled on us. And everyone that knows what a disciplinarian Joe Lane was and what Bob Devlin was. But the biggest contribution I have to have is to my lovely wife and adorable wife Teresa here, because she followed me from my senior year on, and she had 400 football games under her belt. I mean, she helped scout, she helped everything throughout my career. And like you say, without her, the rest was history. And the final note that I have here, the other thing, I coach my son, like I said, we're responsible. We thank you for Mike and Matt Padone and the players from my 1985 team. We're responsible for our second Super Bowl, beating the all-omnipotent, the all-omnipotent Algonquin powerhouse team that, that were undefeated at the time, 14-2, to claim our second Super Bowl. And the other fun fact that I had was, in all my minor league careers, I was one of the 3 father-son combos to actually play minor league football with my son for 2 different teams. Unfortunately, I never got a chance to hit him in practice, but still. So, I'll leave you with this thought. One of the fun facts was, when I finished my career at the age of 66 for the Las Vegas Cobras of the Wild West Football League, I ended my career wearing my St. John's jersey with my age on it, and here's my career.
That was the edited version of the speech too, Paul. Well done. Bruce Kafka, class of 1971. Bruce Kafka was a 4-year member of the St. John's football team. He played for Coach Chick Murphy and for Coach Bob Bradley. Bruce was selfless and did whatever he was asked to do and demonstrated amazing versatility. Bruce was the best athlete on very talented teams. As a sophomore, Coach Murphy asked Bruce to move from linebacker to the line because there was a need. Bruce made the move happily and was dominant. Bruce moved back to linebacker as a junior, was a linebacker and a fullback as a senior. It didn't matter where Bruce lined up, he was dominant. Bruce played a big role in very successful seasons in his sophomore and junior years, and was a strong leader on a team beset by injuries in his senior season. His teammates to a man described Bruce as a damn good captain. Beyond the football field, Bruce had a great heart, would do anything for his teammates and his classmates. Bruce certainly could have played Division I football along with a number of his classmates. Shortly after graduating from St. John's, Bruce was diagnosed with lupus. This diagnosis did not stop Bruce. Through his battle, he graduated from Worcester State College, then went to work for the U.S. Postal Service. In 1985, Bruce suffered a setback with lupus. He fought the disease with the same amazing perseverance and courage that he showed on the gridiron, but sadly passed away in 1986. Inspired by this amazing battle, St. John's created the Bruce S. Kafka 71 Award in his name that is presented to an alumnus who has demonstrated courage, perseverance, and character. If you want to know more about Bruce, ask one of his many classmates who are here tonight. Their love of Bruce lives on. Bruce would be honored to join his brother Kevin, class of 1963, in the Hall of Fame, and would be proud that his brother Chick is accepting this award for him tonight. It is with great pride that we posthumously induct Bruce Kafka, 71, into the St. John's Athletic Hall of Fame. Accepting this award is his brother Chick Kafka.
I want to thank St. John's for a great meal. I didn't have to go out and buy one. But it was an honor to come here and accept my brother's award. I just want to say thanks again for everything, and thank you very much.
Foley, class of 1974. It's fitting that we're holding this induction in the Coaches Pavilion for Tim. This was called the Gym when Tim was playing basketball for legendary coach Charlie Bebo. Tim played a key role in the impressive 20-0 regular season for the Pioneers his senior year. Tim was a fierce competitor. He did the dirty work necessary to win. He played defense and he rebounded. He was also a very skilled player. As Coach Bebo stated, he played flawless basketball. He doesn't make mistakes, and he plays his best when the chips are on the line. His 74 team won the districts in dominating fashion. They run Burncoat and Shrewsbury out of the gyms. They would end up losing to the eventual state champion, Boston English, in the state semifinals. Tim was recognized as a co-winner of the Peter Bebo Award for the best defensive player on the team and was named to the New England Catholic High School Basketball All-Tournament team. Tim was a strong first baseman for Coach Ace Case on a Central Mass Conference-based champion baseball team. The team was great, going 14-4 in the regular season, but lost to Algonquin in the district semifinals. Tim went on to play basketball at Worcester State College, was team captain as a senior. Tim will be joining his brother William Foley from the class of 1958 in the Hall of Fame. It is with great pride that we induct Timothy Foley, 74, into the St.
Thank you. That's a tough act to follow. Now I know how the guy replacing Brady feels. Thank you, Warren, and the St. John's Committee. This great night. I want to congratulate my fellow inductees. As you heard, as you will hear or heard, we have some very impressive athletic resumes here. It's very special to be here with my nephew Mike and to follow his career. I know his parents are very proud of him tonight. I've been following St. John's sports since my brother Bill, class of 1958, and a member of the St. John's Hall of Fame played. So I've been a witness to the type of athletes who have played here since, and I'm humbled to be part of this group tonight. When first notified of the selection, you think about your parents who supported you and encouraged you from a young age, your coaches. I was very fortunate to have great coaches and mentors in Charlie Bebo in basketball, Ace Case, and Bill White in baseball. Guys who have devoted their entire lives to developing students and student athletes, and whose coaching success speaks for themselves. Finally, the teammates. Several of them can be standing here where I am tonight. It's a special kinship to be in school, at practice, in the locker room, on the bus, and participating in games with them through the ups and downs of the seasons. Guys who I am still friends with 50 years later. And yes, the stories get better and more colorful as the years go by. In closing, I'd like to thank my family and friends for their support tonight. Thank you.
John Andrioli, class of 1978. John's a special St. John's pioneer. He could have been inducted into the Hall of Fame as a player or as a coach. His resumes on both sides are certainly worthy. John was a force on the football field for the Pioneers. He was a big target for his classmate Hall of Famer Ron Darling, and he was a dominant defensive end as well. He was a driving force in the 1977 Super Bowl shutout victory at Fitchburg in his senior year. John was a TNG Super Team All-Star. John was also competitive on the golf course, winning the Pioneer Award as a senior. John went on to play football at Holy Cross, where he was a 3-year starter and captain as a senior. John was all ECAC, First Team All-New England, and was named Crusader of the Year. John played professionally with the Boston Breakers, the Washington Redskins, and the New England Patriots. John returned to coach at St. John's in 2004. He has run a program as an extension of the school day. John runs the program with integrity and excellence. John has brought faith to the forefront of the program, holding Mass on Fridays before each game. Look up in the rafters. You'll see the banners that John's team have won 7 Super Bowl championships, 1 state championship in 2017. While John has made a point to coach all his players, his family, he's had the opportunity to coach several of his nephews and his son John awake as well. His son stated he was blessed to be able to play for his father, who is his hero. He said it was an amazing experience. We wish John great success as he continues to coach the Pioneer football team. Beat Central Catholic tomorrow. It is with great pride that we induct John Andrioli, 78, into the St. John's Athletic Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Warren, for that beautiful introduction. You know, it's always nice to come to St. John's every day, and particularly tonight where you see everybody dressed up in a shirt and tie. You know, a funny story. I was traveling from a board meeting at Unibank about a month ago, coming up 146. They stopped in the Price shop around in Sutton and to buy some stuff for lunch. And checking out at the counter, this distinguished gentleman looks at me. I had my suit on. He says, "You look very nice, sir. Very distinguished in your suit and tie." He looks down. I said, "You too." He had a tie on as well. He looks at me and goes, "Are you an undertaker?" I said, "No, I'm the CEO of an insurance agency. I'm an executive director at Unibank, and I'm the head coach at St. John's." He goes, "St. John's?" He goes, "That explains it." It's nice to see how the tradition continues. But seriously, you know, 48 years ago I stepped on this campus, and I never would have imagined the transformational impact that St. John's had on my life. You know, and like so many of us, I thank my mother for that, for helping me with that. It was pretty simple. "You're going to St. John's." I said, "Okay." And my dad said, "Are you sure?" "Yes, he is." So fine. Best decision she ever made for me. You know, the teammates, the classmates, the coaches here provided a foundation and a blueprint for so many of us to grow and flourish and build on the very important fundamentals of the St. John's experience that we've carried throughout our lives. You know, 2 in particular for football and baseball are here tonight that made a huge impact on my life. Coach Bob Bradley and Coach Bill White, who are still mentors, coaches on my staff at some point during the career of 19 years, and just tremendous friends and mentors, and you'll forever be, you know, in my heart as a tremendous mentor for 48 years of my life. Now, that's not all of it. You read a little bit about my golf career, which I'm not sure that should have found its way into the bio, but Coach Bill Prendergast was one of those guys that had a huge impact on my life as well. As a matter of fact, that humility banner was clearly solidified in my life by Bill. And specifically, I can remember playing in a district match at Tatman Country Club. I duck hooked a drive, which is kind of normal, on the 9th hole on the other side of the pine trees. And Bill came walking down, I think it was the 5th fairway, and he had us at that time pipe, which you could do back then. You can't do it anymore, Bill. But he said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Coach, I think I'm going to hit a 7-iron over that pine tree and get it in front of the green, chip it up, make a putt." And he took 2 puffs of his pipe and he said, "I think I'd go under the tree. You haven't gotten one off the ground the whole match." You know, my path in sports and business has really provided a canvas for me to pursue my passions. And along the way, the knowledge, wisdom, and experience of so many tremendous coaches, players, and leaders that I've been around through the game and business. They've been invaluable to me. You know, my greatest joy as a teacher and coach in business and sports is sharing the wisdom and experience I've had, the good fortune of experiencing with our next generation of student athletes and young professionals. You know, a perfect example, you know, we've got 7 of our great student athletes here. To my right, Luke Lango, Vasily Rodev, Ben Wing, Ryan Miller, Pat Borowski, Antonio Leandris, and Jared Fursky. These are great kids. And for me to be able to share with them the experiences that I've gone through is really, the residual effect of that is the wins and losses and the success that our program has had over the years. You know, we tell these kids, we talk about it all the time, that our what, why, and how of our football program is pretty simple. The what is we want dudes on the field and gentlemen in the community and out, you know, in leaders out in the community. That's pretty simple. When you look at these guys, that's exactly what they are. And to that point, you know, I'm fortunate to work with guys that are in that mold, that are now at the next level in business, and they're all sitting here tonight, all my guys from the Sullivan Group, who are really, were in their position, you know, 15 years ago, and they're all doing the same thing, they're doing great things, and I'm just honored to be around them all. Just to see them flourish professionally and personally, that's the greatest gift I could ever get from coaching. You know, I stand here, I'm really humbled by being included with this tremendous group of distinguished athletes and professionals and people that just embody the St. John's man to a T. I wouldn't be here if it was not for the tremendous coaches that I'd like to personally thank for serving continuously over the 19 years here that I've been at St. John's. They're great people. I've been at every level, and there's no finer people that care about kids and care about the game and the integrity of St. John's like these guys. Pat White, who's been with me for 19 years and actually took a chance on me with Michael Welch and Bob Foley and Steve Gregory. Paul Capstick, Sean Hastings, Bill Farraco, my brother-in-law, they're all here this evening. Mike Foley, Mike Pedoni, and my brother Jim, who's been on our staff. I couldn't be here without the work that you all have done. Most importantly, in all of this, I want to thank my wife Karen, who, for her tremendous love, selflessness, and support, I would not be able to do this job. I married a coach's daughter, who, by the way, is one of the greatest coaches of all time, Fran O'Brien. And he gave me the greatest advice of anyone. He said, always give back to that which has given you so much. And I'm glad I listened to you, Coach. Thank you very much.
Chris Allmeyer, class of 1986. Lively class, those 86 guys. Chris was an amazing and impactful athlete and was certainly a driving force in the success of our cross-country indoor and outdoor track team during his 4 years on campus. Chris was a 10-time varsity letter winner, captained 2 teams. Individually, Chris was dominant. He was a 2-time district champion in the 600-yard run, was district champion both indoor and outdoors, and 3rd in the state in the 4x4 40 relay. He was a 6-time CMC All-Star. He was the school record holder at graduation in the 600-yard run, and was the all-time scoring leader at graduation for indoor track team, and was the Pioneer Award winner in indoor track. Chris took great pride in his team's great success also. Chris was on 4 district championship teams. His junior and senior cross-country teams won championships, as did the indoor and outdoor track teams in his junior year. In his junior year, his teams won the Triple Crown. They won cross-country, indoor, and outdoor championships. Through all of his success, Chris notes that winning the district championship in cross country was his favorite experience. He had been told by his coach, Rich Houston, he had to beat 2 runners from Blackstone Millville in order for the Pioneers to win the championship. So Chris went out, he hung with the pack of the 4 runners from Blackstone Millville. He dug deep in the last 400 yards to out-sprint 3 of them, running as hard as ever to clinch the championship. He demonstrated sheer guts, left all that he had on the course for the good of the team. Chris went on to run a season for Providence College before retiring. It is with great pride we induct Chris Saulnier, 86, into the St. John's Athletic.
Thank you. It's amazing to be back here at St. John's being inducted into the Athletic Hall of Fame. First, I want to congratulate my fellow inductees. It's an honor to be inducted with you. It's incredibly rare to have all of your accomplishments. We were all so fortunate to attend this remarkable school, where we grew academically, athletically, and spiritually. I'd also like to thank the Hall of Fame Committee for choosing us to be part of this induction class. There are so many deserving athletes who could be chosen for this honor, and I can't imagine how hard it must be for you to make these final choices. I have many people to thank for being here tonight, but it all starts with my mom and my dad. They were always my 2 biggest fans. They made it to every meet, regardless of time, distance, sacrificing their work schedules and their personal lives to watch me run around the track. I can still hear my dad's booming voice echoing in my head as I took the sharp turns of the track at South Island, especially as I went by the stands in the corner where he and my mom sat for every single meet. There was no better feeling in the world than winning a race and hearing him scream, "Attaboy, Chris," from across the gym, his voice rising above all others. Unfortunately, neither of them are with us tonight, as my mom passed in 1997 and my dad passed away last December. One of the last moments I ever had with my dad was telling him about my Hall of Fame election, as I found out about 3 weeks before he passed. He was in hospice and was unable to speak at the time, but I could see from the proud look in his eye that he understood. While the committee had no way of knowing my dad's situation, I can't help but believe there was a little divine intervention from above, pushing my candidacy to the top of the line. Outside of my mom and my dad, my 2 biggest influences were Rich Houston and Jerry Furley. How fortunate for me to have competed at this school for 4 years and 10 varsity seasons and have every single one of them coached by a St. John's Hall of Famer. Coach Houston, a 1997 inductee, always led by example, preparing us for the biggest meets with the strenuous workouts, often training alongside us, helping push us to be our best. He always put us in a position to win, understanding our strengths and helping us maximize our talents. Coach Frew, the 2001 inductee, pushed me very early on to be the very best I could be. I remember telling him after my freshman year into a track season that I was likely going to be playing baseball in the spring. He pulled me aside, looked me right in the eye and said, "Chris, you need to put away the baseball glove. You have a chance to be one of the all-time greats in the history of this school. You're just a track guy now." It was a tough decision, but as I stand here before you tonight, I guess it was the right decision. Coach Frew was essentially the original sports fantasy player. The day before every meet, after practice, I would sit in his office. He would forecast the next day's meet, race by race, predict the final score. He was uncannily accurate. Let's just say, if DraftKings had been around that day, he'd be a very rich man. He was so in tune with his entire team and always put us in a position to succeed. He would train us hard, prepare us tactically, and then the exact race he predicted, the exact result he predicted would happen. It always gave me great confidence going into a race, knowing he'd already marked me down for the win, and I lived to not let him down. Thank you for everything, Coach Houston and Coach Frew. I would not be here tonight if it were not for your endless support, your constant guidance, and your passion for coaching. I also want to thank my teammates over the years. It was easy to train hard and push yourself to unfathomable limits when your teammates were beside you pushing just as hard. Our teams were close-knit and rooted for each other's success. Specifically, I'd like to mention my co-captains and great friends, Jeff Coggins and Matt Carney, as well as some of the upperclassmen who pushed me so hard over the years, such as John Servin, Matt Doyle, and Brian Gilmartin. Together, our teams won a lot of individual races, won a lot of relay races, and won a lot of team championships. And we helped carry on the standard of athletic excellence for St. John's. I'm thrilled to be joined back corner here tonight by my beautiful wife, Gail, and my 3 children, Rachel, Kyle, and Leah. I really appreciate all of them being here tonight. tonight, and especially thank my children who traveled home from college today to be with me tonight. I'm also fortunate to be joined by my two sisters, Susan and Mary Ann, my brother Jonathan from the class of 1989, their significant others, my aunt, my uncle, my stepmom, and other family and friends. It means so much to me that you were all willing to be here tonight. Lastly, to my fellow 1986 Hall of Famers, Chris Whitem, Todd Schmick, and Roger Berry, you were amazing athletes, and even better people, and I'm honored to stand beside you representing our class. My 4 years at St. John's helped shape me into the man I am today. My journey began here in this classrooms, these halls, and in this gym, and I'm so happy to see the school's continued success, both academically and athletically, as it continues to prepare young men for college and for life. I'm humbled to be a small part of this long storied history. Thank you so much for this honor. It means more to me than anybody could ever know. Good night, God bless, and go Pirates.
Shane Hassett, class of 1987. Shane was a four-year starter for the Pioneer soccer team and made an immediate impact on the program. As a freshman, Shane clinched the district championship over rival Marlboro High when he one-timed a blistering shot into the upper right-hand corner, scoring the game-winning goal in triple overtime. Shane played for Coach Brian Foley, and those soccer teams were very successful, winning 2 district championships and a state championship over Shane's 4 years. In his junior year, Shane scored the game-tying goal and assisted on the game winner to beat Wachusett for the district championship, and spearheaded the team to a 5-1 win over Lexington High School to clinch the first Massachusetts state championship in soccer school history. Shane was a fierce and fiery competitor who played to win. Shane was the playmaker and led the team in assists his junior year and led the team in scoring his senior season as a center midfielder. Shane finished his career with 32 goals and 22 assists. Shane was a TNG All-Star as a sophomore, a Boston Globe All-Star as a junior and a senior, and a TNG Super Team member. An All-State, All-New England, and honorable mention All-American as a senior. Shane attended Florida Southern College upon graduation and was the Sunshine State Conference first team performer. Shane is a graduate of the University of Connecticut and signed on to protect the citizens of Connecticut as a Connecticut State Trooper. He served 25 years, achieving the rank of sergeant, was awarded for bravery, life-saving, and meritorious and outstanding service medals before retiring as the commanding officer of the Public Information Office. It is with great pride that we induct Shane Hassett, 87.
Wow, what a tribute. Warren, thank you so much for that introduction. Firstly, I would like to congratulate my fellow inductees on this incredible honor that we're all experiencing tonight. Well done, boys. Well done. Secondly, I need to thank the Hall of Fame Committee for their nomination and vote, and of course, a hearty thank you to the Director of Alumni Relations, Warren Hayden, and Headmaster Alex Secura for their efforts in organizing this special night for all of us. I would also like to thank my family for being here with me on this night. My beautiful wife of 28 years, Susan, my oldest son, Evan, and daughter, Rachel, and to my second-born son, Brock, who couldn't make it here because he's finishing up Naval Flight School down in Texas. And although they couldn't make the trip from Florida due to medical complications, I would be remiss if I didn't publicly thank the efforts and sacrifices of my mom and dad, Grace and Paul Hassett. Their foresight and desire to provide me with an extraordinary high school experience here at St. John's has made a remarkable difference in my life. St. John's had it all. Am I right? An exceptional athletic program coupled with an intense and superior education rooted in the Catholic faith.
St. John still exceeds expectations to this very day, but I'm sure the methods have changed just a little. Back in my day, listen to me, I sound like my father. Back in my day, the Zavarian Brotherhood ruled the classrooms. Brother Bertram taught taping, and if you were caught talking, he brought forth the Father and the Son. And in English class with Brother Ryan, if you dared to use a dangling participle in a sentence, the Holy Spirit himself would find its way to your chair, literally 2 inches from your face, holding an abnormally long wooden ruler. But this is why we received that first-rate education here at St. John's. They imposed standards, and we met them, or else. But we didn't just excel in the classroom. We soared athletically as well. And there was a reason for that. I didn't know it at the time, but St. John's had a secret. The secret was the fact that all of the teachers were training us to be athletes all along. For instance, if we forgot a towel in gym class and had no way to dry off, Mr. Patrick White would be there to hand us a 1 by 1 foot piece of a paper towel. That taught us discipline. In Mr. Gregory's calculus class, I was sent into the hallway to do 20 push-ups if I got an answer wrong. I did a lot of push-ups, but I gained tremendous strength. In Mr. Laborde's homeroom, he barred the door and would not allow us to leave to go home. So fellow student Paul Grondel yelled, "Storm the door!" And 24 kids immediately rushed the door, causing Mr. Laborde to flee for his life. That taught us teamwork. Mr. Prendeville would often challenge students to wrestling matches in his class. And he actually lost one of those matches after being put in a headlock by my friend John Gallagher, who's here today. Mr. Prendeville actually tapped out. That taught us how to overcome a larger opposing force. And speaking of my best friend who is here with us tonight, hand-to-hand combat was actually allowed in Mr. Arsenal's French class down in Flavian Hall. We were both freshmen and we didn't know each other very well. And John was jealous that I was playing varsity soccer, and I was jealous of his perfectly spiked blonde hair that, to be fair, was very individualistic. Mr. Foley, would you agree? And what did we learn? We learned how to lose gracefully. Well, John did, because I won the fight that day. But we were both winners because ever since that day, John and I have been best friends for the past 39 years. I love you, buddy. And I love his parents, John and Joyce, who are also here tonight. Happy 84th birthday, Mr. G, by the way. So the Gallinaws were my second set of parents in high school. I spent as much time at their house as I did my own, and I probably ate too many of their frozen chimichangas. Apologies for that. But all joking aside, I cannot tell you how privileged I feel to receive this honorific. Although it is a decidedly individual honor, in my case, I would not be here tonight if not for the guiding hand of my coach, Mr. Brian Foley. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention all of my teammates as well, who trained hard and fought hard and would not be denied in their quest to bring the first soccer state championship in history to St. John's High School. Forever a pioneer. Thank you.
Michael Foley from the class of 1990. Michael was flat out a dominant football player at St. John's and beyond. Mike is described as a great guy by his classmates and his teammates. He was someone you could count on and off the field. His teammate, Paul Newsham, described Mike as a gentle giant who was the friendliest, funniest guy you could ever meet. But Mike, however, had the ability to flip the switch, and when he stepped on the field, he was a beast. His teammate John Clifford recalls that Mike would tell him, "No one comes to our side." Teams typically ran the other way, and Mike ran them down. Teams did not prepare for St. John's when Mike was on the team. They prepared for Mike Foley. Mike was a key contributor to St. John's Super Bowl victory over Leominster his junior year. Mike was named co-captain as a senior. When he was given a chore, he did it, and did it well. Mike was also versatile. He played defensive end and tight end. He amassed impressive statistics with 12 catches for 287 yards and 3 touchdowns on offense. He made 38 solo tackles, 31 assisted tackles, 3 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and 1 blocked punt. Mike is proud that his teams were undefeated on Thanksgiving Day, beating the Guardians of St. Peter Mary in all 4 years. Mike was a T&G All-Star, a 2-time Central Mass Conference All-Star, and played in the Shriners All-Star game. Mike went on to have an impressive career at UNH, where he was captain his senior year. He was a 4-time Yankee Conference All-Star, 4-time ECAC All-Star, UNH Defensive Player of the Year, All New England, and was inducted into the UNH Hall of Fame in 2003. Mike was drafted by the Arizona Cardinals in the 6th round of the NFL Draft. He played on the New England Patriots practice squad, played 2 years in NFL Europe with the Barcelona Dragons, winning the World Bowl in 1998, and he played 2 seasons in the Canadian Football League for the Montreal Alouettes. It is an honor to induct Michael Foley, 1990, into the St. John's Athletic Hall of Fame.
I'm not too good at this stuff. I just wanted to thank a few people. I see my brother over there, and my mom and my wife. Some friends over here, Mike Pedoni, Matt Pedoni, Davey O'Reilly, John Swain, all the guys. It's an honor to be up here, and I want to congratulate all the inductees. It's great being up here. I miss this place. A lot of good memories in here. And the asbestos is still on the ceiling. But I just want to say thanks again to St. John's for everything they've done for me. And that's it. Thank you.
Matthew Vokes, 2003. Matthew was a tremendous all-around athlete at St. John's, playing huge roles on very successful hockey and baseball teams. He was a 4-year varsity hockey player for Coach Brian Murphy. He's one of the best players to ever lace up the skates for the Pioneers. He was a goal scorer, and he was a great passer. He scored 70 goals and had 95 assists for 165 points in his career. Matt was a 4-year starter, was captain of the team his senior season. Matt enjoyed the challenge of playing the best competition in the state, playing Catholic Conference rivals, Catholic Memorial, BC High, St. John's Prep, and Xaverian. Matt's team had great success, as is evidenced by his teams playing in 2 Division I state finals and appeared in 2 Super 8 qualifiers. Matt was a T&G Super Team and Boston Globe All-Star in 2002 and 2003. Matt was also a 2-time member of the St. John's varsity baseball team. He played a significant role playing for Coach Bill White on the 2002 state championship team. Matt moved to first base in his senior season, hit 2 home runs, and was the team leader with a .391 batting average. Matt was pursued by junior teams and prep schools to join them while he was at St. John's. To Matt's credit, he stayed and graduated from St. John's. Matt developed tremendous academic confidence at St. John's and truly represented St. John's in class. Matt played junior hockey following graduation in Cedar Rapids, where he was a 2-time USHL All-Star. Matt then went on to Brown University, where he was a 4-year member of the hockey team, captain as a senior. He was team MVP, academic All-Ivy, and was the Unsung Hero Award winner in New England. Matt played professionally in the ECHL with the Trenton Devils. It is with great pride that we induct Matthew Vokes into the St. John's Athletic Hall of Fame.
it's all here. I realize it's been a long night, and some people might need a nap. So I was talking with Matt Parent, and we thought it'd be good to invite Coach Bill White up to give people. Is that too soon? I was talking to Kevin Foley, Kevin White, Pat's son, and he said, you know, I was a freshman, and you were a senior, and you had to go, and you had to give a speech in front of all these incoming students and their parents, and you killed it, and I had to go up after that, and I just bombed. And after hearing the first few speeches tonight, I now know how Kevin feels. On that note, though, it's worth noting that the reception today started at 6 o'clock, punctual at 6 o'clock, and Pat White showed up after 6 o'clock and was not on time for probably the first time in 30, 40 years. And I sent an email, a scheduled email to send on Monday morning at 6 o'clock reminding him, Pat White at stjohnside.org, that he was late for this. I talked to Warren Hayden yesterday, and he said, all right, you got 3 minutes to talk about yourself. I hung up the phone, I told my wife, I said, I got to talk about myself in 3 minutes. She said, you can't do that. You don't know how. So forgive me if this is more St. John's based, because I'm one of the very lucky, fortunate ones that didn't have the family out of 7 kids, and I was fortunate enough to come here. In 2019, Headmaster joined us, and one of his first emails or missives he sent out to the St. John's community said, we stand on the shoulders of giants, I think it was. And he noted Brother Connell and Headmaster Welch. I too, and there are a few other athletes from my time here, know very well that we too stood on the shoulders of giants, of my fellow inductees and their teammates and their coaches who laid the success for people like me to come after them. It's a lot easier to continue a run of success than start your own. So for that, I thank all of you and your teammates and coaches. When we think about St. John's, one word came to mind, and it was faithfulness. When we think about faithfulness, it's not just a faithfulness in God or ourselves. It's a faithfulness in that it will extend to other parts of our life. Success, as defined by St. John's, is unnatural. It's not something that is expected. It's not something that is easy to come by. There are members of the St. John's football hero team tonight. You wear red and white, that doesn't guarantee a victory on the field. There's a lot that goes into that, and there's a lot that goes behind that. It requires faithfulness. It needs to be cultivated, it needs to be nurtured, and it needs to be protected. I was fortunate enough to have that here at St. John's. I arrived at St. John's when my parents, mainly my mother Jane, had a certain level of faithfulness in Bill Murphy. Bill Murphy said, any talent that he has in athletics will be dwarfed by what is available to him outside of athletics here at St. John's. Faithfulness. My parents said, we have faith in ourselves and we'll find a way to pay for St. John's. And then they in turn had a degree of faithfulness in St. John's that if they could not pay, that would not become a hindrance to my attending and becoming part of this community. Faithfulness benefits the people in our lives. When we are faithful to them, they are blessed. It gives us good name. When our name is mentioned, even when not present, it's spoken in high regard. A good name, established through a life of faithfulness, is a gift to pass on to your children. And it's truly one of the highlights of my life that my wife Carrie and my daughter Charlotte and Thomas are here to experience St. John's, because they've never had that opportunity, and the opportunities are few and far in between. Faithfulness reflects a God who is always loyal and committed to us. I believe our loyalty and commitment to others reflects the love that God has shown us. God has clearly blessed St. John's, and in turn, I was a main beneficiary of that love. It's the only plausible explanation that I can come up with to explain how I was blessed by the St. John's community, even before I took the entrance exam 2 weeks before school started, alone in Carl Wilson's office. I knew something wasn't right. It was a Tuesday, and I was alone with a guy that had no idea who I was. I got the call, and I was in AP classes my freshman year, and that was a mistake. But we figured it out, and I made it through 4 years. The first act of love I can recall from the St. John's community came from Billy Murphy, Coach Murphy's brother. Billy knew how hard my parents worked, but also knew things weren't always great on the home front. Billy called my parents and offered me a chance to play on his hockey team with Andy free of charge. This might seem like a small thing, but what Billy didn't know is that at the time, that meant he was going to have to pick me up and drop me off at every game and practice. And by pick me up, I mean pick me up from the Auburn Elks, working 18 hours, smelling like cigarettes and grease. I had my 3-year-old there yesterday doing a shift, and he got paid $4 for a half hour of work. That's not even a joke, that actually happened. My first dose of St. John's and what St. John's meant as part of the broader community came with playing with Billy and his 2 kids. I don't know what I did, but I vaguely remember Billy in the car ride home saying, "Matt, you're a good athlete, but if you play like that at St. John's, it's going to be 2 years in the JVB and up in the stands." The joke was on him because I had no idea what JVB meant. I just knew that it wasn't good. This type of blessing and love was replicated time and time again at St. John's, and it's evident here tonight. Friends I haven't spoken to or seen in 10, 15, 20 years came out and they surprised me. Thankfully, at St. John's, I was never viewed as just an athlete, and I was never allowed to view myself as just an athlete. I was viewed as a young man entrusted by the school to use the resources provided to reach my full potential. For those to whom much is given, much is required. It seemed to be the only expectation of which St. John's young men were held accountable. And I felt I owed it to those who gave their gifts to me so freely, many of them here tonight, Coach Murphy, Coach Mead, the Perrin family, the Turcos, the Murphy family, to give my best and go out and be the best possible version of myself I could be. Again, I'm humbled and unable to express enough humility at the blessing St. John's continues to provide in my life and the faithfulness they continue to have in me. As I go forward and raise our young children, I can only hope to instill in them the same level of faithfulness that St. John's has instilled in me. Thank you.
Richard Rogers, class of 2011. Few athletes have had the impact on St. John's High School athletics than Richard Rogers has. Richard was a quiet leader. Richard's team won. Richard was a 3-year starter on Coach Andreola's Pioneer football team, only because he didn't go out his freshman year. He was tremendously versatile, playing wide receiver, safety, defensive end, place kicker, and punter. He could play anywhere. Richard led his team to Super Bowl titles as a junior and as a senior. In Richard's senior season, he caught 65 passes for 1,064 yards and scored 17 touchdowns, bringing his career touchdown total to 40. As a defensive end, he was equally as dominating with 32.5 tackles, 8 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and an interception. Richard was All-State, Division I MVP, and Co-Player of the Year in the Teen G Home Team magazine with his teammate and classmate, Dan Light. Richard played on the St. John's varsity basketball team for 4 years. He was a starter on teams that won 4 district championships and played in 4 state championships. I'm not sure that's ever been done before. Richard scored 28 points in the Division I state final as a sophomore to clinch the state championship. Richard led his teams to an 87-22 record and were an amazing 18-3 in playoff games. Richard finished with 1,423 points, third all-time, and is the all-time leading rebounder in school history. Richard was a three-time TNG Super Team selection. The word on the street is Richard's best sport was baseball, and he never played it here. Richard went on to play football at the University of California, Berkeley, following in his father's footsteps. He was drafted by the Green Bay Packers and has played for the Packers, Philadelphia Eagles, and is currently playing for the San Diego Chargers. It is with great pride that we induct Richard Rogers into the St. John's Athletic Hall of Fame. Accepting the award for Richard tonight is his basketball coach, Coach Bob Foley.
For those of you who would not know Richard Rogers, just an outstanding kid, great athlete, and just something special. He loved St. John's. Richard, I can't say enough about him. I was thrilled when Warren told me that he asked for me to accept the award for him. That was something special. Obviously, he's got a game this weekend for the Chargers, so that's why he's not here. Richard was a quiet kid. Didn't talk a lot, never bragged, never brought attention to himself, except what he did out in the court and what he did in the football field. That brought enough attention to him. Richard loved every teammate that he had on the football team. He loved every teammate that he had on the basketball team. He has never forgotten his roots. St. John's was something special to him. Just one little thing on Richard. I've got a thing that during basketball season, that anyone who ever played for me can come and just jump right in and play in my practices. So I know what's probably going to happen when he played with Green Bay. I would know as soon as Green Bay lost, that next day or the day after, the door down there would open and in would come Richard. And he wasn't here to show everyone how good he was. He just wanted to play. He loved basketball. He told me that when he was in Green Bay, as soon as practice ended, he'd go over to the gym and play basketball. And what he would do when he came here is he would talk to my players while we were playing, saying you should have posted up, you should have done this. Any way that he could help them, he would do it. And so it is with special pride that I get to accept this for Richard. I know he would thank every one of you. Thank you.
Coach Brian Murphy, who said Brian Murphy was the right coach at the right time. Brian joined the English faculty at St. John's in 1982, and he took a role as an assistant coach for a year under Coach Bill Cahill, and then a year under Coach Paul Ford. The following year, Brian became the head coach, and he knew that the hockey team needed to play the best in order to elevate the program from a Central Mass Division II program to a perennial Division I powerhouse in Massachusetts. He added St. John's Prep, BC High, Catholic Memorial, and Springfield Cathedral to the schedule to make his players stronger. He coached more than the X's and O's. It was about mentally preparing his players to compete against a tough schedule. Under Brian's direction, the Pioneer hockey team began to succeed. His 1992-93 team finished 19-0-1, was the first non-Eastern Mass team to be selected to play in the Super 8 tournament. Coach Murphy's team won a total of 5 Division II titles, 2 Division I state titles, and competed in the Super 8 tournament 7 times. Playing arguably the toughest schedule in the state, Coach Murphy amassed a 392, 217, and 63 record. Brian prepared numerous players to go on to play in college, including Brian Collins at BU, and fellow inductee this evening, Matt Vokes at Brown. Matt stated that Coach Murphy taught him things that would pay off throughout his career. Brian was a demanding coach who expected more from his players off the ice than he did on the ice, which set his players up for success athletically, but more important, to be successful in all aspects of their lives. One of the highlights of Brian's career was having his brothers coach alongside him on the Pioneer bench. Brian continues to teach English at St. John's. St. John's is proud to induct Brian Murphy into the St. John's Athletic Hall of Fame.
Good evening. Welcome. Certainly is a pleasure to be here. I'd like to congratulate my other inductees for their wonderful careers, the honor that they've received. I can't believe you're all still awake, actually. But I will try to keep this as quick and as short and brief and to the point as I possibly can. I know that I could speak for all of the gentlemen on the awards committee here, one, and who were inducted, to say that without you, we would not be here. So we want to thank you for all of your love and support and all the things you have done for us. Thank you. I've given a lot of speeches and talked at a lot of banquets. I know you don't want me to be up here too long, so I will be very quick. I'm just going to do a couple of things here. I'm going to tell some very important thank yous to groups of people that were instrumental in our successes. And then I'm just going to mention three very brief things that I was very proud of as I reflected back on my coaching career here at St. John's. First and foremost, I'd like to thank God for all the blessings He has bestowed upon me and my family. I'd like to thank Brother Connell for hiring me as a young, inexperienced 23-year-old kid who had never taught and never coached before. So I thank Brother Connell. I'd like to thank my family, my mom and dad, Jack and Teresa, and my sister Marie, who has predeceased us, and I know that they're all smiling above, down tonight at us, so I want to thank them. As Warren mentioned, I'd like to thank my three older brothers who have a connection here to St. John's. As Warren also said, my two older brothers came out of coaching retirement and helped me coach, and that was one of the highlights of my coaching career. My other brother, Mark, was a teacher here for many years when I first arrived, before he graduated, passed the bar exam and became a lawyer, and he was instrumental in helping me adjust to this. I'd like to thank my family, my wife Eileen and my three children, Jack and Nora and Vincent, who are the love of my life, and I am so very proud of them. They're here tonight. I'd like to thank all of my assistant coaches over all those 31 years. There's too many to individually mention here, but they were outstanding men, great teachers, great coaches, and just better people, and they did a fantastic job, and I appreciated all the effort that they put in. There would be no way that I would be here if it wasn't for the players. I never delivered a check. I never made an assist or scored a goal. They did it all. They were outstanding players. They were dedicated. They were tough. They were determined, and they worked very, very hard. So like Warren mentioned, we had a lot of players that went on in my 31 years here that went on and played college hockey. I think we've estimated over 100 kids, and also 2 out of those 100, 30 went on and played Division I hockey. So they were fantastic players and tremendously skilled. Certainly last but not least, I'd like to thank all my friends, many of them who are here tonight. I can't believe they came, but we've been friends since childhood. They've been supporting me, so I want to thank their love and support and friendship for all these years. They're like my extended family, and I really, really appreciate them. As I mentioned, I'm just going to say 3 things that I thought I was proud of as I reflected back on my career. One, my goal as a young coach was to build a competitive program, one that would represent St. John's well. And I think we did that because from 1986 until 2006, until someone had a better idea that pay to play junior hockey was better than high school hockey, which I'm not really sure is accurate, but up until that point, those 20-year stretch, we were in the state finals, the state semifinals, or the Super 8 for 20 years in a row, and that was because of the great players that we had. The other thing that I was proud of as a coach was that I was never issued a bench misconduct penalty. I wanted my players to be dignified and to be gentlemen and to act with dignity and decorum. And I thought that they did that, and if I was to expect them to be that way, I had to do that myself, so I wanted to make sure that I held my emotions in check and was never penalized for that. And the other thing that I was proud of was that I held my players accountable. You have to be there, you have to show up to do your job. So for the 31 years that I coached, I never once missed a meeting, a scrimmage, a practice, or a game. So I thought that was important to instill in the players, and I just appreciated all the effort that they did. That's pretty much it. I love coaching, I love competing, I love preparing. I just, it was a joy, and I was humbled and honored to be a coach here at St. John's. Thank you so much. God bless you and your families, and have a wonderful night.
As Matt Folk said, we talk about standing on the shoulders of giants at St. John's. Tonight, we're fortunate to have one of those giants, Bill White, here to pay tribute to another one of those giants, Patrick White. Mr. White.
It's always good to go last. Well, as long as people are still awake, it's been alluded to a couple of times. I want to thank Warren for giving me the opportunity to read a script. But understand that putting me up here also opens up the opportunity for me to ad lib. I want you to know, first of all, Pat and I are not related. I have a line for that, but I won't use it. Although he calls me Grandpa, and I call him Junior. And Pat, let me know if you've heard this before. His mother, my late wife Fran and I were married in 1964 in Spencer, and his mother, Marie, was the cantor. She sang that mass. And when Kitty and I got married a few years ago, if Marie were around, I would have had her sing at that one as well. And I think probably his father, George, cleaned up the church after we left. And his brother, Peter, played ball for me on the first baseball team I coached at St. John's, the JVs in 1966. He was a teammate of Brian Foley. Peter did pass the entrance exam. The script. Patrick John White, now you can learn something else too tonight. John, didn't know his middle name. Patrick John White is a native of Spencer, graduated from David Crowdy High School, graduated from Norwich University, and received his master's degree from Worcester State College, State University in health education. He was an outstanding educator and honored by many civic organizations for his service and for his contribution to football in Central Massachusetts. But tonight, St. John's honors him as he retires after 43 years of service as a teacher, coach, phys ed director, athletic director, dean of students, and the best ambassador that we have in the community at large. You know, if we didn't know better, we would think that maybe the school was waiting for him to find something he was good at. In the nearly 125 years since the founding on Temple Street, few people have had such direct influence on so many young men as Pat White. An honorary alumnus, no one better exemplifies what it means to be a pioneer. Few have embraced and exhibited the values embodied in the charism of the Zavarian brothers that have been our guide for all those years. Some of you guys have picked up some of those values, some of our alumni. If you've forgotten, they're listed for us up here. Thank you to the staff for putting them up. They are humility, compassion, simplicity, trust, and zeal. At the request of Joe Lane, Pat came here to do his student teaching in phys ed. And after graduating from Norwich, he came back to teach. He never left. At the same time, he joined the football staff, and at that time I was defensive coordinator, and we worked together. And I still claim that I taught him everything he knows, but not all of what I know. His zeal was evident from day one. Values of the Zavarian brothers. Pat had a passion for proper conduct, maximum effort, perfect technique, and pioneer pride to the phys ed classroom and the football field. And he demanded no less of himself. His life is all about hard work, teamwork, and the sincere belief that it was not about him. Those words came from his son, Kevin. The value of humility allows all members of the school community to accept and affirm their giftedness, as well as to acknowledge the giftedness of others. And humility leads to compassion and service. Pat has certain confidence in himself, we know that, and compassion in his service, particularly to the poor and marginalized, particularly to veterans and people in hospice care. He has even on occasion shown compassion and understanding to his players and to students who may have found their way to the Dean of Students' office when he was in that role. And there was certainly humility and selflessness for his assuming the role of freshman football coach, having had college experience, which he's done for the past few years working with the freshmen. Page 2. St. John's has entrusted Pat White with numerous responsibilities. He in turn has placed trust in his players, his colleagues, and the values of Christianity as the very brothers in St. John's High School. That trust is exhibited in his loyalty to St. John's, which Pat has likewise engendered in so many others. The kid from Prouty has spent a lifetime in our schools, and he wears his loyalty on his sleeve, and it is infectious. Pat likes to refer to himself as old school, and except for a nice truck and a condo in Rhode Island, Patrick White is a simple man. What you see is what you get. Simplicity as charism is rooted in humility, trust of God, zeal for the church's ministry of education, and compassion. Simplicity frees the heart, the mind, and the soul for the work of evangelization and education. Faith underlies simplicity. Pat's a man of faith. Represents that faith and all that entails in his church and in the community as much as he has at St. John's. Every year, Pat would go on the speaker and talk to the student body around Mother's Day about the value of mothers and by extension, family life. His values himself were modeled by his parents, George and Marie. Back in Spencer. His bride, Karen Newman White, has been a coach's widow for 40 years. But she raised two good kids, Kevin in class of 06, and Kelly, who with her husband, John Long, has assigned to Pat his favorite role. His grandchildren, Lindley Marie and Delaney, now command all of his affection and attention. And I find it a little bit ironic that a man who gave guidance and direction to young men for 43 years is now taking orders from two little girls. Patrick White never played it down for St. John's. And as an assistant football coach for decades, there were no one-loss records or championships under his name. But there is no one among our athletes or coaches more deserving of induction into our Hall of Fame. Now we have an extraordinary situation here. We did it 20 years ago with Joe Lane, who was inducted as a committee. We didn't invite Joe, and we elected him to the Hall of Fame. And we didn't invite Pat. And there was an election. It wasn't unanimous, I have to say that. But we are, as a committee, I speak to the committee, and for thousands of pioneers, we're excited, we're proud to induct one of our own, Patrick J. White, to the St. John's High School Hall of Fame.
Well, you pulled it off. Pulled it off. Wow. What a surprise. First of all, as I've been speaking at St. John's for the last 43 years, I'll start out like I always do. Thank you, Mr. Lane. Because if it wasn't for Mr. Lane, I would not have the life that I have.
believed in me in 1978, and the rest is history. I look around this gym right now, it's been 43 years. I love the smell of the gym. Nothing better. Well, there is. Locker room. It smells a lot better. If you remember, Mr. Lane's office and my office is right in the middle of it. It's a great place to be. You know, when Mr. Lane asked me to be on the Hall of Fame selection committee, when I was finished shaking when he asked me that, I said, of course I will, Mr. Lane. And he took me to my first meeting. And I went down to the man house at the time, and I sat amongst Buster Sherry, Bob Devlin, Joe Lane, Bill White, Bob Foley, Mr. Akerson, Charlie Bebo, Ace Case, and I'm just went behind the ears. I'm just a puppy, and I'm sitting amongst legends, great people. What mentors they were for me. So when Mr. Lane said, now Patrick, you're in dire need of guidance and direction. I said, Patrick, listen to me closely. I said, yes, Mr. Lane. There's going to be a lot of athletes at St. John, very, very, very good athletes, never to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And it's true. Look at our history. But you cannot be just a very, very, very good athlete. You have to be special. You have to be unique. Just like these gentlemen are right here, and the many, many Hall of Famers that are amongst us right now. So my personal congratulations to all of you, and all of you that are out there in the audience. Just a couple of thank yous. I have to say, all my friends that surprised me here tonight, I just want to thank you for coming here. I want to thank my mom and dad, of course, out in Spencer. I want to thank God. My faith is very, very important to me, and I always want to bring that to all my players and everybody around me. When you're a coach, you're a teacher. When you're a teacher, you're a coach. They're all intertwined. And being at St. John's, faith is very important to our student athletes. I want to thank the 3 headmasters that I worked for, Brother Connell, Mike Welch, and Alex, for believing in me and giving me the opportunity to work with these young men, both teaching and coaching. I want to thank all the head coaches. In 43 years of coaching, we had a lot of coaches. But of course, Coach Bradley, who hired me as his freshman coach back in fall of 1979, who believed in me, had no coaching experience at all. So I want to thank Coach Bradley. And then when I left the college ranks, I want to thank Coach Andrew for picking me up and being with him along the way. It's been a great, great journey. Also, your whole coaching philosophy was taken from all the guys you surround yourself with. Now, not only those great coaches I was around, guys like Jack Charney, Jackson Leckie, Rick Carter, Mark Duffner, Dan Allen, Mike Sherman. I go on and on and on. Tremendous coaches. That's how you get your coach's philosophy. You take what's not working that you see, and you just put it aside. You take what's working, what you see from these coaches, and that develops your coaching philosophy. So I want to thank all the head coaches that I had the chance to work with. Now, in 43 years, there's a ton of assistant coaches. Some of you are here this evening. As a matter of fact, Dave Masuko, we coached back in 1980, 81, drove up from North Carolina. Great to see you, Dave. I thank you very much. Ray Cosenza, we had a great time back in the early 80s, and many of the local current coaches, I should say, that are with John and I are in the audience. I want to thank all the assistant coaches that made me a better coach. It's been so much fun. A lot of my former players are out there, which I couldn't believe that all you guys showed up, even you fellas that are still playing right now played for me. So I want to thank all my former players for coming here this evening. Thank you very, very much. Most importantly, I want to thank my family. My brother's here with Joy and my son-in-law and daughter, Kelly and John, my son Kevin and his girlfriend Erin. Thank you very, very much. And most importantly, Karen. I want to thank you. You know, I wasn't around much in the fall.
Kevin, you know, I didn't see many Pop Warner games. I did coach you 2 years in high school. Those were interesting rides. And I apologize now. But I did get a chance to work with you for 2 years. You played 4 years of college ball. I probably saw 2 or 3 games. Your mom was the biggest fan of all your college, your football career, because I didn't see much of it. And Kelly, if you were playing a sport in the fall, you didn't see much. You know, many times when you're coaching, you know, you get home, your kids' eyes are shut, and you leave, your kids' eyes are still shut. Day after day after day, you don't see your kids awake. You know, many Sundays, you know, coaching football, that was a 16-hour day, breaking down film. We're going for 16 hours on a Sunday. I didn't see my wife and kids for days. So I just want to thank you, Karen, for giving me the opportunity to be married to you for 40 years, right? 40 years, August 7th. Had to get married August 7th, but we had to get back for preseason. But I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to fulfill my passion. So thank you very much. You know, I was talking to Warren on Tuesday, and I was babysitting Karen and I were babysitting my 2 granddaughters, and I was on the phone, and Lily Marie came up to me and said, Pop, I got a boo-boo, Pop. I said, oh, I'll kiss it, and I'll make it better, and it reminded me, that's exactly how I coached. No, Smith, when you used to come up to me and go, oh, my back hurts, I'd say, Smicky Wicky,
That's exactly what you said. That's exactly what you said.
Oh, Billy Plant, when you came out to me, I think I dislocated my finger. To Billy. Come on, you got 9 other digits, suck it up. And I'm still like that. I was like that when I was 21. I was still like that when I was 65. Full of love and compassion. So finally, just a few more things. You know, there's 4 things I always wanted my players to get when I was coaching. You know, number 1, I just wanted to teach them how to practice. There's a right way and a wrong way how to practice. And you got to bring it to practice the right way. Secondly, I always wanted them, and it was mentioned earlier, to be fundamentally sound. If you don't have the fundamentals, all this extra fancy stuff they're teaching you is for naught. You've got to get your fundamentals down. The third thing, I wanted to teach them how to win. And win the right way. There's only one way to win. And a lot of coaches don't do it the right way. But here at St. John's, we teach them how to win the right way. And the fourth thing is you got to go hard every second of every play. You can't take the play off. You can't take the second off. Right, fellas? You got to go hard every single play. Because in life, if you practice real well, and you're fundamentally sound, and you know how to win the right way, and you don't take a play off athletically, being a good dad, being a good teammate, being a good teacher, CCD teacher, Little League coach, you can't take a play off in life. If you get those 4 fundamentals down, you know something? You got a pretty good chance to have a good life. And looking out there to see all the guys that played for me, you got it. You got it. I am so proud of you. You got it. So I'm just going to leave you with this. I'll leave you with one whiteism right now. And as a matter of fact, you guys can hear me right back there, right? All right, I'm going to leave you with this right now. When you get up every single day, doesn't matter if you're an athlete, whether you like sports or not, when you get up every single day and you put your feet on the ground, it's 4th down and 1. Thank you very much.
I feel a little bad using the mic. How about a round of applause for all our inductees? I want to thank you all for being here. As it's been said, St. John's is a family, and it's what it's all about, being here to support one another. And I hope to see you at some games down the road, because these boys over there need our support, and every other team that's playing out there. Come to a game, come to a play, be around, because we brag about the big brothers that our students have today. So please, prove us right. Be around and help them out. I must do some quick thank yous. The advancement staff was really tremendous putting this event on. Need to thank our new Director of Events, Denise Higgins. Denise, you're around. Great job. Need to thank Pam LeBeau, Karen Gentili, Patrick Maloney, Jim Dyer, Jamaris Godino. I also need to thank my wife, Beth, as well. Need to thank Athletic Director Mike Mead, Bill White, Brian Foley, Bobby Foley, and all the Hall of Fame committee for putting this together. Thank you so much. Good news. It's been 3 years since we've done it. We're back on for the class of 2023. Next year, we'll be back at it again. I'm going to turn it over to Headmaster Alex Zakara to say a few words. Thank you.
So I'll be honest, this doesn't happen very often, but I am at a loss for words with the amazing sentiment that was shared tonight here about St. John's and about the amazing people that make up this community. I've got stuff written down, but I'm not going to say it because I'm not going to do justice the way these men describe it. So I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to our Hall of Fame committee, thank you to our advancement team, and please join me in thanking Warren Hayden for all the work that he does. I am so glad that we're here celebrating these men at St. John's, but we're also very, very grateful to the Maroney family for the many, many years that we were hosted at Wachusett Country Club. So we thank them for all of their support over the years. Tonight is really about celebrating and being surrounded by excellence, right? And I think we look around this gym, we look around this campus, we look around the people that make up St. John's, because ultimately that's what this community is about. It's about people. And we heard about amazing people tonight who did amazing things while there were students here at the school. And I'm very, very proud of the fact that we come to school every day and are still surrounded by amazing young men, amazing teachers who do amazing things to make our community better. We are preparing the next generation of guys that will be sitting up here in a number of years. And I'm very, very, very proud of that. I'm just going to close with two things. The first is to thank Pat White. I've been in this business in education not as long as Pat, but I've been in it for 30 years. And there is no one, and I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people, there's nobody who loves kids, loves his work, loves the mission of a place like St. John's, and loves his family, and is committed and passionate as Pat White. And it was an honor for me to work with him for 6 years. And I'm so grateful. You know, for any political scientists out there, you know that Machiavelli said, is it better to be loved or feared? And I would say, here's somebody who had both, right? Love and fear, right? So you can have both. And I'm going to close with one thing. The alumnus that I quote the most over the course of my 7 years here at St. John's, and he may not know this, but it's Matt Vokes. And I quote him because when I started here, I met with every single full-time and part-time employee of the school, 114 meetings over the course of my summer as I started here, to get to know this community better. I knew it as a parent because my son was here, but I didn't know it as a school leader. And I sat down with Dave Wenzel, class of '83, one of our school counselors, and I said to him, tell me about St. John's, tell me about your St. John's. And he talked about Matt Vokes standing up in this very gym in front of the entire student body as SAC president. Is that accurate? Or SAC president. And he described St. John's to this group of students, to 1,000 boys gathered in here. He said St. John's is a place that takes care of business and takes care of each other. And you heard that here tonight. So thank you for being here tonight. God bless you, and thank you for all you do to make St. John's St. John's. Thank you.